Welcome everyone. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharo Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from Srimad Bhagvatam. We are on chapter 9. Just 1 minute. So far we have discussed how Krishna, he protected Parikshit Maharaj who was in the womb of Uttara. And then as he was departing, Kunti Maharani comes and she offers her beautiful prayers. And then again he was going. Then Yudhishthir Maharaj came and he requested Krishna that he please stay for some more time. So nobody could stop Krishna, but Yudhishthir Maharaj's request, Krishna stopped. And he spent some time there more. And then in the last section of this 8th chapter, we saw how Yudhishthir Maharaj was very aggrieved. Nobody could pacify him. Krishnena Adbhut Karmana. The wonderful activity of Krishna is, what is the Adbhut Karmana in that? Anybody remembers? What was Adbhut Karmana?
Yudhishthir could not get convinced by Krishna.
So what was Adbhut in that? So Krishna as Paramatma in the heart of Yudhishthir told Yudhishthir that don't listen to Krishna who is standing outside. So that is Adbhut Karmana of Krishna. So he did it to glorify one more devotee, Bhishma. Then all the devotees, all the Pandavas with Krishna, they went to Bhishma Dev. So today we'll be discussing the 9th chapter, the passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Krishna. Suta Uvacha Iti Bhita Prajadrohat Sarvadharma Vivitsaya Tato Vinashanam Pragad Yatra Deva Vrato Apatat.
Afraid for having killed so many subjects on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Maharaja Yudhishthira went to the scene of the massacre. There Bhishma Deva was lying on a bed of arrows, about to pass away.
So this chapter describes that whoever you may be, you can practice devotional service. Anyone can be a pure devotee irrespective of his position in the outside world. Externally, Bhishma was on the side of Kauravas and he was assisting them, fighting on their behalf. But bhakti is ahetuki apratihata. Bhakti cannot be stopped cannot be obstructed, and it is ceaseless. Ceaseless and causeless. That is bhakti. Nothing can stop a person to practice bhakti, and no external circumstances can stop a devotee. So therefore, Bhishma is showing that even if you are on the side of enemy, you can please Krishna. So Sud Goswami, he continues the story. Iti bhitaha. So being afraid of killing all these citizens, all these people who are on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, sarva dharma vivitsaya, and to understand the principles of dharma, tato vinashanam pragat. So they went to a place where the fight was held. They went to Kurukshetra. And there, who was lying? Devavrata. Who is Devavrata? Bhishma. So Bhishma was lying on the bed of arrows there. So Prabhupada writes, in this chapter, Bhishma will impart instructions to Yudhishthira Maharaj on the subject of occupational duties. Bhishma will also offer last prayers to the Lord on the verge of passing away from this mortal world. Bhishma Dev was endowed with the power of leaving his material body at will, and his lying down on the bed of arrows was his own choice. Who had given him this benediction? His father, Shantanu. He was so very pleased because Bhishma, he took a vow. Devavrata took a vow that I'll not marry, and none of my, and I'll just assist the ruling king. So that was the power of Bhishma. So this passing away of great warrior attracted the attention of all the contemporary elites, and all of them assembled there to show their feelings of love, respect, and affection for the great soul. So everybody knew that Bhishma was a great personality. He was a great devotee, one of the 12 Mahajans. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma, Vali, Vayasaki, and Vayam is Yamraj. So interestingly, this verse comes when? Where? Anybody knows? Ajamil pastime, yeah. Krishna, Yamraj is telling to all the Yamdutas. So in that section, Bhishma also comes. So in which yuga this Ajamil pastime happened? So that is interesting. So not, of course, in this Kali Yuga. Because Ajamil must be, so this must be early Kali Yuga. Because Ajamil, it is described, he was 80 years old. So it cannot be Satya, Treta, Dwapar. It should be Kali Yuga only. And it cannot be this Kali Yuga. So therefore, this story must be some previous, Yuga Chakra. So all these personalities, they are always there, always the Mahajan. So that time Yamraj is saying, Bhishma, Bali Vayasaki Vayam, Prahlado Janako Bhishma. So all these Pandavas, they went to this place where Bhishma was lying down. Then royal attire, aristocratic attire of Pandavas are described in the second verse. Tadate bhratara sarve swarna bhushitai chandrathai vipra vyasa dhamyadayastatha.
All his brothers followed him on beautiful chariots drawn by first-class horses decorated with gold ornaments. With them were Vyasa and rishis like Dhamya, the learned priest of the Pandavas and others.
So Dhamya, although we hear about Dronacharya a lot, but Dhamya was their spiritual master of all the Pandavas, who were there with Pandavas throughout the 13 years of Vanvas. And he guided them in all the spiritual ways. So he is a very great personality, Dhamya. Bhagavan api viprashe Thena sa dhananjayaha Sate nripaha Kubera
Kubera iva guhyaka. O sage, amongst the Brahmanas, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, also followed, seated on a chariot with Arjuna. Thus, King Yudhishthira appeared very aristocratic, like Kuvera, surrounded by his companions, the Guhyakas.
So Krishna wanted Pandavas to be present before Bhishma in the most aristocratic order because he might be pleased to see them happy at the time of death. That was the innermost desire of Bhishma, to see Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas being put on the throne. That was the desire of Bhishma throughout his life. Therefore, Krishna, being such a merciful, Supreme Lord, he always showed mercy to the devotees. And therefore, he wanted to give some pleasure to Bhishma at the last moment of his life. So therefore, he took everyone. And then Prabhupada writes about Kuvera, who is the richest of the demigods. Yudhishthira appeared like Kuvera. Drishtva nipatitam bhumau.
Drishtva nipatitam bhumau.
Divaschutam ivamaram.
Divaschutam
Nemo Pandava Bhishmam.
Varenamo
Danuga
Pandava
Sahachakrina.
Danuga Sahachakrina.
Seeing him lying on the ground like a demigod fallen from the sky, the Pandava king Yudhishthira, along with his younger brothers and Lord Krishna, bowed down before him.
So although Krishna is Supreme Lord, but he is forgetting his own position as a Supreme Lord and is bowing down in front of Bhishma. He was the younger cousin of Maharaj Yudhishthir. But just to be with all the devotees, just to make everybody comfortable and to show mercy to his own devotee, he forgets that he is a Supreme Lord. So that's how Krishna is reciprocating with devotees. So when it comes to devotees, then Krishna forgets his supremacy. He likes to be controlled by devotees. So that's how Krishna is showing by this example here. The Lord, although conscious of his supreme position, always behaved in a humanly custom. And so he also bowed down before the dying Bhishma Dev, as if he were one of the younger brothers of King Yudhishthir. Tatra Brahmarshaya Sarve.
Tatra Brahmarshaya
Devarshayascha Sattamaha.
Devarshayascha
Rajarshayascha Tatrasan.
Rajashayascha
Drashtum Bharata Pungavam.
Drishtum Bharata
Pungavam. Just to see the chief of descendant of King Bharata, Bhishma, all the great souls in the universe, namely the rishis amongst the demigods, Brahmanas and kings, all situated in the quality of goodness, were assembled there. Hare Krishna.
So 5th to 8th verses describe who all had assembled on the battle on this place where Bhishma was lying down. So the list of the greatest of the personalities, who is who of the universe has come there. And just the list is mind-boggling. Who all had come there. So Parvata, somebody can read the translation of the next verse, then we'll discuss. 6th.
All the sages like Parvata Muni, Narad Muni, Dhaumya, Vyasa, the incarnation of God, Brihadasva, Bharadwaja, and Parshurama, and disciple, Parshurama and disciple, then Vasishtha, Indrapramada, Tirtha, then Gatasmada, Asita, Kakshivan, Gautama, Atri, Kaushika, and Sudarsana were present. Hare Krishna.
And along with that, the 10th verse also describes Annecha Munayo Rajan Brahmarata Dayomala Shishya Upeta Ajagmu Kashyapangi Radasaya. And many others like Shukdev Goswami and other purified souls, Kashyapa, Angirasa, and all others, accompanied by their respective disciples, arrived there. So just see, all these are liberated souls. They are all, enlightened beings. But still, they have appeared, they have assembled there to witness the departure of Bhishma. So it is so very interesting that although they are already liberated soul, Shukdev Goswami, but still to have a personal experience of anything boosts the faith, So that's why we attend so many festivals. We come in association of devotees. Why? Because when we come in association of devotees and see the mood and devotion of the devotees, that inspires us. So that's all these great sages, they don't have to, hear from somebody or to get liberated. They are already liberated, but still Krishna consciousness means wherever you get good association, wherever you get, good experience in Krishna consciousness, we should be ready to go there and collect the jewels from there. Everybody, all the devotees, they have jewels of realization. And we should be ready to collect the jewels of realizations from every devotee. So that's how all these big sages, Parvata, Narada, Dhaumya, Vyasa, Bhardwaj, Parshuram, Vashishta, So these are all existing since the beginning of creation. They all have appeared just to experience the mood of, just to see the mood and devotion of this Bhishma Dev. So that is the very wonderful thing which is coming here. So Srila Prabhupada describes about each and every sage. We will not be reading all that. You all can read at your free time. So one interesting thing in the 8th verse is Shukdev Goswami is also there. So, Shukdev Goswami, when he appears in front of Parikshit Maharaj, how old is he?
16 years.
So why he is coming here?
They're all transcendental things. Cannot explain.
So he was looking like 16. He was not 16 years old, just like Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So when Krishna goes to meet Shrutadev and Bahulashva, there also Shukdev Goswami was there. So Shukdev Goswami, when he was born, it is not mentioned, but he looked like 16 when he entered the assembly of Parikshit Maharaj. Because we can see these two instances. It happened much before much before Parikshit Maharaj departed, right? Parikshit Maharaj has just taken birth, not even taken birth. He has just protected Parikshit Maharaj. And maybe he must have taken birth also. This happened after some months. So then Parikshit Maharaj grew old and then he is there. Shukdev Goswami is there. And Shrutadev Bahulashva, that story also comes early. So, years old. So Prabhupada writes about Shukdev Goswami, the famous son and the disciple of Vyasa, who taught him first the Mahabharata and then Srimad Bhagvatam. Shukdev Goswami recited 14 lakh verses of Mahabharata in the council of Gandharvas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and he recited Srimad Bhagvatam for the first time. Thoroughly studied Vedic scriptures. From Mahabharata, it is understood that he was also present in the royal assembly of Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj, and at the fasting of Maharaj Parikshit. Then last lines of this paragraph. He is also known as Araneya, Aruni Sutta, Vaiyasaki, and Vyasatmaja. So his mother's name is Aruni. Okay, so 9th verse. Now 9th and 10th. Bhishma Dev is welcoming the Supreme Lord and all the other visitors. Very interesting word Sudha Goswami is using here in the 9th verse. Tan sametan mahabhagan
Tan sametan mahabhaga
upalabhya vasuttamaha Jayamas dharmagyo Deshakala vibhagavet.
Deshakala vibhagavet.
Bhishma Dev was the best amongst the 8 Vasus received and welcomed of the great and powerful rishis who were assembled there, taught perfectly all the religious principles according to time.
So Tan Sametan Mahabhagan. So all the great and powerful rishis who assembled there. So Vasuttamaha, the best of the Vasus. So Bhishma was the 8th Vasu. The 8 Vasus were cursed by whom? In the heaven, somebody cursed them. I think Vashishta only cursed when they were laughing at this rishi who was walking, who was Ashtavakra Muni. So so he cursed them that you go to earthly planet. And so the story is long, we'll not go into that. So then this best of the Vasus, the 8th Vasu is Bhishma Dev. Pujayam Asa, he welcomed them because he was Dharmagya. He knew perfectly all the religious principles according to time and place. This is important word. Desha, Kala, Vibhaga, Vit. So only scriptural knowledge is not sufficient. We have to realize it. And to realize this knowledge, we need Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, all three. Then we will be able to understand how to apply a particular principle in particular Desha, Kala, and Vibhaga. So therefore, Prabhupada writes, expert religionists know perfectly well how to adjust the religious principles in terms of time and place. All the great acharyas or religious teachers or reformers of the world executed their mission by adjustment of religious principles in terms of time and place. It's a very, very important thing because Srila Prabhupada himself has done it many times. What all principles, what all details Prabhupada has adjusted? Principles can never be changed, but details can be changed. Somebody asked Prabhupada how to understand what is the principle and what is the detail. Because many times we can change the principles in terms of, in the name of changing details. Prabhupada said that requires little intelligence. So, what all things Prabhupada has adjusted?
In the installation of deities,
according to time, place, and circumstance.
So in the installation of deities abroad,
Number of
he did it
rounds.
only with the
Said, oh, 64
movement.
rounds and no less. Then everybody was saying, Prabhupada, not possible. 8 hours. Then 32. Then 24. Still they were not ready. 16 and no less. So that was the adjustment Prabhupada made. Any other adjustments?
Yes, Prabhuji, while installing the deities, while installing the deities abroad, Prabhupada installed the deities only with the Sankirtan, with the Hare Krishna Sankirtan. But when he installed the deities at Vrindavan, he did the whole procedure because he knew the Brahmins wouldn't accept the installation otherwise.
Yeah. So time, place, and circumstance. When Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra was installed for the first time, practically Malti Mataji stole all the deities, and brought, and then Shamsundar Prabhu carved the big deities, and then Prabhupada said, we'll install the deities. So what is the installation process? Okay, you get one candle, and then uske baad घुमाते रहो भगवान जी के सामने. कब तक घुमाना है? जब तक हाथ दुखेगा नहीं, Then you give to another person. So that's how all the devotees, they do this arti, then this Jagannath ji is installed. So that was Prabhupada's. Any other? But in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, well, if we don't do it properly, then people will not accept. All the smart Brahmanas will not accept. Any other adjustments Prabhupada made? Prabhupada started Brahmacharini ashram. It was not there. It is not there in Vedic culture to have a Brahmacharini ashram. But Prabhupada understood the need of it. Prabhupada himself performed the marriage. Sannyasi is not supposed to perform the marriage. So he did it. So that's how Prabhupada has adjusted so many things just to increase this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching movement. So that's how Desha, Kala, Vibhagavit. Because generally when the guest comes, he should be welcomed very nicely. But now Bhishma was in a position he cannot get up and welcome. So what he did? He welcomed with sweet words. That's it. Desha, Kala, Vibhagavit. He just spoke sweet words. So therefore he is called as Dharmagya, one who knows Dharma. So therefore he taught all these dharmas to Yudhishthira Maharaj. It will come in the further verses. Dan Dharman, Raj Dharman, Moksha Dharman, Stri Dharman, Bhagavata Dharman, Samasa Vyasa Yogata. So he taught all these dharmas. So the biggest section of Mahabharata, one of the biggest, is Bhishma Parva. And that all is summarized in one verse in Bhagavatam. All this dharma he was teaching. So that's how Srila Prabhupada also adjusted so many things so that the devotees can practice Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada writes, there are different climates and situations in different parts of the world, and if one has to discharge his duties to preach the message of the Lord, he must be expert in adjusting things in terms of time and place. So one time Prabhupada was giving a class somewhere and the mic was falling again and again. It was loose. So what Prabhupada did? When he smart Brahmana of South India sees this, he'll get a shock. Like, what is this? So Prabhupada just tightened the mic and continued lecture. So that was Prabhupada using the Brahman thread. Desha Kala Vibhagavit. He must be expert. Bhishma was one of the 12 Mahajans. Therefore, he could receive and welcome all the powerful sages from all parts of the universe. He was certainly unable at that time to welcome and receive them physically because he was neither at home and nor in good health. But he was quite fit by the activities of his sound mind. So therefore, he could utter sweet words. One can perform one's duty by physical work, by mind, and by words. And he knew well how to utilize them. So that is how Bhishma, he was Desha Kala Vibhagavit. Krishnam cha tat prabhavagya Hridistam pujayamasa Maya yopata vigraham
Lord Sri Krishna is situated in everywhere's heart, everyone's heart. Yet he manifests his transcendental form by his internal potency. This very Lord was sitting before Bhishmadev, and since Bhishmadev knew of his glories, he worshipped him duly. Hare Krishna.
Krishnam cha tat prabhavagya. So Krishna, he knew the prabhava. He knew the glories of Bhishmadev. Asinam Jagadishwaram. So he is situated in everyone's heart. He is the Supreme Lord. So therefore he knows the glory of Bhishmadev. Hridistham. So therefore Maya yopata vigraham. And therefore he manifested his transcendental form by his internal potency. So that's how Prabhupada writes, Lord's omnipotency is displayed by his simultaneous presence in every place. So Krishna in the heart of Bhishma could understand the glories of Bhishma, and therefore he wanted those glories to be revealed to the whole world. So therefore he appeared in front of Bhishma Dev. And then 11 to 17 verses, Bhishma, he is pacifying and encouraging all the Pandavas. Panduputranupasinan
Panduputra Pashina
Prema Sangatan
Prashnaye Prema Sangatan
Abhyachashtanuragashrayi Andirtena Chakshusha.
The sons of Maharaja Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishmadeva
congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection.
Panduputran Upasinan. So all these sons of Maharaj Pandu, they were sitting nearby silently. Prashraya Prema Sangatan. Very silently they were sitting with the intense feelings of love and affection. Therefore, Abhyachashtanuragashrayi. So he congratulated all these sons. Bhishma, he congratulated them with nice loving feelings. So Prabhupada writes that at the last stage of his life, Bhishma, he saw his most exalted grandsons sitting very gently by his side, Therefore, he could not check his loving tears, which were automatically flowing from his eyes. He remembered the great tribulations suffered by his most pious grandsons. Certainly, he was most satisfied man because of Yudhishthir being enthroned in the place of Duryodhan, and thus he began to congratulate them. So therefore, Andhi Bhutena Chakshusha, he was so overwhelmed seeing Yudhishthir Maharaj in that attire because that's what he wanted throughout his life. He could not even see because his eyes were full of tears. So that's how Krishna, he wanted to give Bhishma Dev this satisfaction of seeing Yudhishthir Maharaj. That's why he told Bhishma, he told Yudhishthir that you dress yourself in all the royal paraphernalia. So generally when you go to somebody who is sick or who is about to depart, you don't dress yourself luxuriously, right? It doesn't fit the situation, suit the situation, but Krishna did it. Krishna told you dress yourself luxuriously, royally, because he wanted to give pleasure to Bhishma Dev. And then the verses which are coming are beautiful, wonderful verses Bhishma Dev is speaking. Aho kashtam aho nyayam yadyuyam dharmanandana
Yadyuyam dharmanandana
klishtam vipradharma chutashrayah.
Vishwadeva said, "Oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustice you suffer for being the sons of division personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, God, and Him."
Aho kashtam, oh, what terrible sufferings. Aho anyayam, what injustice. Yadyuyam, oh, great souls, you are dharmanandana, you are sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to live. Jivitum narhatha. You suffered so much that you were about to die only, but still you are protected by three people. Vipra, Dharma, and Achyuta. These three things protected you all. Dharma, Brahmanas, and Supreme Lord himself. So therefore all these Pandavas, they had taken shelter of these three things. Vipra, Dharma, and Achyuta. Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Patis Charanarvinde Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakhya Dautya Veera Sananugamanastavana Pranaman Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Patis Charanarvinde. So when Parikshit Maharaj was touring the entire Bhumandal, wherever he went, he would hear the glories of Pandavas. And this verse comes in the 18th chapter where the glories of Pandavas are described. The devotees of the Lord, Pandavas were such great devotees that Krishna was doing everything for them. Sarathi, Parashada, Sevaka, Sakhya, Dautya, everything. Because they were Snigdha. Snigdha means they were malleable to the will of the Lord. So the more a devotee is malleable to the will of the Lord, to that extent Krishna also protects the devotees. Krishna is controlled by the devotees when they are ready to surrender to the Supreme Lord's will. So therefore, Bhishma is saying, oh, you were not supposed to live also. But because you were protected by Brahmanas, Krishna and Dharma, therefore you could survive. Yudhishthir was disturbed. Somebody can read the purport.
Maharaj Yudhishthir was disturbed due to a great massacre in the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhishma Dev could understand this and therefore he spoke first of the terrible sufferings of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was put into difficulty by injustice and the battle of Kurukshetra was fought just to counteract this injustice. Therefore, we should not regret the great massacre. He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by the Brahmana, the Lord, in the religious place.
Okay. Okay. So therefore, so because Yudhishthir Maharaj and all these Pandavas, they underwent so much of the sufferings, but because they were taking shelter of these three things, they were always protected. They never blamed Krishna. Are itna problem aap hamare jeevan mein de rahe, ye thoda to kam kar dete. We are serving, we are unloyal devotees. They never ever complained to Krishna. Tatte anukampa. This is the mercy of the Lord. To speak it is easy, because apna kuch problem aa nahi rahe, But when actually problem comes, then to speak that verse is very, very difficult. So we should understand this is where we have to reach up to. This is a mood of a sadhaka. Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Devotion. This should be the attitude of all devotees practicing Krishna consciousness. At least theoretically we should understand it. That mere जीवन में जो भी हो रहा है, this is mercy of the Lord. All good things are mercy of the Lord, right? But when problem comes, then it is very difficult to say it is mercy of the Lord. So all these Pandavas, they are personification of this. Tatte Anukampa. It is all mercy of the Lord. So all these Pandavas, they were not suffering their karma. They are all pure devotees. Krishna has put them in all these situations. As Bhishma will tell, that this Krishna is standing, he has put you in all these troubles. He is the time personified. He has put you in all these troubles. Dharma Nandana, Parikshit Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj is the personification of Dharma. So therefore, there cannot be any prarabdha karma for him. It is not that he is suffering his prarabdha karma. No. It was personally orchestrated by Krishna. And Krishna doesn't do this with everyone. He does it only with those people whom he trusts. He loves everyone but trusts only few. That is Krishna. Krishna trusts only his pure devotees. He doesn't trust everyone. He loves everyone. But if he wants to teach a lesson, he does it only through his pure devotees. So Prabhupada writes, as long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas, Vaishnavas and Dharma, one has no cause for despondency. Very important line. One has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. So if one is fixed in these three principles, then he should not be disturbed. All the troubles, they have to be tolerated. There should be no cause of despondency. मेरे जीवन इतना problem क्यों आ रहा है? Why I am suffering so much? There is no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstances of life. That's how devotees' attitude is. They are just concerned with serving Krishna. Because situations, they are not in our control. We have little control over our situations, but we have unlimited control over our consciousness. The response to a situation is in our hand. And that's what the Bhagavatam characters are showing, starting from Parikshit Maharaj, how he responded. Starting from Pandavas, how they responded, how Parikshit Maharaj responded. So Bhagavatam is full of characters like this. There is no pastime in Bhagavatam. And these devotees, they practice Krishna consciousness nicely. Everything good happened in their life. And then when they went back to God. No. So all the Bhagavatam is full of tragic stories. From external point of view, outside, it's all full of tragic story. Kuch acha hi nahi ho raha hai devotee ki life mein. So if a new devotee reads all these things, Bhagavatam mein kuch acha hua hai ki nahi kisi devotee ke sath, But that's what Bhagavatam teaches. To live lives in midst of all these trying circumstances. So, and Pandavas are showing by their personal example how to respond in such difficult situations. So these are the high, aspirations which the characters of Bhagavatam are presenting in front of us. So Prabhupada writes these 3 points, as long as a person is first, fully in cooperation with the wish of the Lord. Second, guided by the Brahmanas, Vaishnavas. And third, strictly following the principles. Then there is no cause for despondency. So if one is doing all these things, then still problems are coming, then you should not be disturbed. Accept it as the will of the Lord. Then he continues. Samsthite atirathe pando pritha bala prajavaduhu krite bahun kleshan prapta tokavati muhu.
As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal because of your actions.
So he is doubly lamenting the destiny of Kunti Devi, that she has suffered doubly. You all suffered, but Kunti Maharani has suffered even more than you. Because for a mother to see the son suffering, it is much more painful. Because the mental pain is always greater than the physical pain. So although nothing happened to Kunti Maharani physically, but still, she suffered the most. Because of her early widowhood, Prabhupada writes. She suffered greatly because of early widowhood and to get her minor children brought up. And when children were grown up, she continued to suffer because of her son's actions. This means she was destined to suffer by providence, and this one has to tolerate without being disturbed. So suffering, so the actions of her sons means because they were pure devotees and they were acting according to dharmic principles, so therefore their actions were naturally creating troubles for them. And Kunti was also suffering. So this one has to tolerate if the suffering comes by providence. Then the 14th verse is a very, very important verse. This is very crucial verse which helps devotees in times of difficulty, in painful situations. Sarvam kalakritam manye bhavatam chayada priyam
Bhavatam
tapalo yadvashe loko
Chapale Yadvase
vayoriva ghanavalihi.
Ganavali. In my opinion, this is all due to inevitable time under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the cloud are carried out by the wind. Hare Krishna.
Sarvam kal kritam. So what is the cause of your suffering, O Pandavas? So many problems have come. Kashtam, anyayam. You're not supposed to be living also. Kunti Maharani also suffered. What was the cause of all this suffering? Sarvam kal kritam. It is all the inevitable time. Bhavatam chayada priyam. Whatever unpleasant has happened in your life, it is because of time. Sapalo yad vashe loko. And this time is controlling even the controllers of the universe. Vayor iva ghanavali. Just like cloud has no independence, it moves as per the directions of the wind. Similarly, all the living entities, they are controlled by the time. So that is the power of time. Kala Chakra. So because somebody may ask that Pandavas were pure devotees, and how can they suffer if they don't have prarabdha karma? It was all happening by the power of time. So everyone in this world, starting from creation, from the starting of the creation, to the destruction, everybody is in control of time factor. Nobody in this world can control time. Only Krishna can control time. Only Krishna is beyond time. Nobody else is under the control of time. All the residents of Dwarka, when Krishna enters Dwarka, it will come in the 11th chapter. They are praying. Natasmate nath sadangri pankajam virincha vairincha surendra vanditam parayanam shemami hechatam para nayatra kalah prabhavet para prabhu. Natasmate nath, oh my Lord, we are offering our obeisances unto your lotus feet. Sadangri pankajam. Everybody in this entire universe is controlled by you. Virincha, Vairincha, Surendra, Vanditam, you are glorified by Brahma, Shiva, and all the greatest of the heavenly controllers. Parayanam Shemam Ihichatam. We are glorifying you because it is for our benefit. Parayanam Shemam Ihichatam. Nayatra Kala Prabhavet. This time factor cannot control you. Time controls everyone, but it doesn't control you. So that's how Bhishma is telling that it is all time factor. But pure devotees are also beyond time factor. Pure devotees, they don't go through distress because of the karma, because of the time factor. Also, they are not going through troubles. It is all will of the Lord. The time factor is acting on the devotees by the will of the Lord, but they are not disturbed by it. They don't suffer. Suffering, miseries are compulsory. Suffering is optional. That is in our hand whether to suffer or not. Problems will come in the lives of everyone, but whether to be happy or whether to be stressed, whether to be distressed, it is in our hands. And Srila Prabhupada has shown by his personal example, various disciples of Prabhupada have shown by their example how they were beyond this body. One time in the last days of Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was just bag of skin and bones, one Kaviraj was called from South India, and he was telling that I have seen many patients in this situation and they are in intense pain, and I have to give morphine to them so that they can just live properly, because it is so very painful. But your Guru Maharaj, he was telling to Tamal Krishna Maharaj and all the other disciples, your Guru Maharaj never shows any expression of pain. So he is a Paramahamsa. So Prabhupada has shown by his personal example how they are beyond time factor. Na uttama shloka vartanam jushatam tat kathamritam syat sambhramo antakalepi smaratam tat padambujam. So the devotees of the Lord, uttama shloka, because they are always engaging in uttama shloka varta, syat sambhrama na, they don't get confused and bewildered antakalepi, even at the time of death. So that is the devotee. So therefore, it is all will of the Lord that he has given this control to the time factor, so that he can show to the whole world how my devotees are responding in this situation. So Prabhupada writes, this is control. There is control by time all over the space. There is control by time all over the planets. All the gigantic planets are controlled by the force of air, as the clouds are controlled. Similarly, time controls even the actions of air. Everything is controlled by Supreme Kala, the forceful representative of the Lord. Thus, Yudhishthira should not be sorry for the inconceivable action of time. Yudhishthira should not think that he had committed sins in his previous birth and is suffering the consequence. Even the most pious has to suffer the condition of material nature. So whoever you may be, even if we live life 100% sinless, still you'll have to suffer. That is the nature of this material world. Even if you are completely sinless, if somebody enters a coal mine, however intelligent you may be, still the black tinge will be there. You will be affected. So that's how. कबीर का एक दोहा है, काजल की कोठरी में कैसो ही सयान हो जाए, काजल का दाग लागे ही. So however intelligent you may be, if you enter a coal mine, you will be touched by the coal. So therefore, however sinless you may be, we will suffer. Even the great controllers suffer. Everybody is suffering in this material world. So Prabhupada writes, one should, very nice line Prabhupada writes, but a pious man is faithful to the Lord, for he is guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, following the religious principles. These three guiding principles should be the aim of life. Vipra, Dharma, Achyuta. And then Prabhupada writes a very important line. One should not be disturbed by the tricks of the eternal time. This is the trick. God is testing each and every devotee. This time factor. So that's how we have to understand. Even the great controllers of universe is also under the control of time. Therefore, one should not grudge thus being controlled by time. Why I should be controlled by time? Everybody is under the control of time. So that's how. So just like, for example, in this world, seasons, they change without someone doing anything, and one prepares himself to handle, right? Nobody blames, why rains are coming so much. We have to prepare. So similarly, when situations change without you doing anything, we cannot blame why the situation has changed. We have to prepare ourselves so that we can continue serving Krishna. So we have to develop internal tolerance and external tolerance also. And that is what Pandavas are saying, showing. So then, why Bhishma is saying all this, about inevitable time, where time has come here? Why Bhishma is telling all these things? So he'll reveal in the next verse. In some time he'll be revealing. Then he says, Bhishma, he is wondering now in the next verse, the power and the influence of the time factor. That such great, powerful personalities were there on your side, still you had to suffer. Unbeatable, unimaginable combination. Nobody can even imagine to have such powerful military ministers. Yatra dharma suto raja gada pani vrikodaraha
Gadapani Brukodaraha
gandivam chapam
Krishna Sri Gandivam
surit
Chapam
krishnas tato vipat.
Bhut Krishna Shivam.
Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible, otherwise how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the God controlling him? Bhima, the great fighter with love, and the great man Arjuna, with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas.
So unavoidable reverses are happening in the life of Yudhishthir Maharaj, in spite of perfect material and spiritual resources. Nobody can imagine. Krishna is there himself. Dharma Suto Raja, Dharma personified. Gadapani, the strength personified. Krishnostri Gandivam Chapam, skill personified. And well-wisher personified, Krishna standing still vipat. So who can expect name marriage में problem आना नहीं चाहिए? So Krishna has shown the extremes. These people had everything, still they are suffering. So nobody can blame, अरे मेरे जीवन में problem क्यों दे रहे हैं भगवान? इनको भी जीवन में इतना problem दिए हैं. So we should be ready to go through problems in right consciousness. So Prabhupada writes, as far as the material and spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in the case of Pandavas. So they had everything. After a few lines, Prabhupada is writing, despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, power of expert management, and power of weapons, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, which can only be explained due to influence of time, kala. So nothing else can explain why Pandavas suffered. So therefore, Prabhupada writes last very important line. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Many times people, they suffer some chronic diseases, they try everything, but still, nothing happens. So there is no need to lament. कुछ हो ही नहीं वाला है तो रोने का क्या फायदा? People, they just cry and then they are cribbing, अरे why all these things are happening to me? Tried everything, still I am suffering. There is nothing to be lamented. Just accept it as the will of the Lord. That is real maturity in Krishna consciousness. To accept reversals as mercy of Krishna, although it is very difficult, but this is what we have to reach to. This is what Pandavas are teaching, that real maturity means accepting reversals as mercy of the Lord. It happened in the life of Vidura also. when he was thrown away by Duryodhan with just breath. That is a retirement benefit Duryodhan gave to Vidura. प्राण के साथ आपको छोड़ रहे हैं. That is the only reward we are giving you. स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय माना भ्रातु पुरम मर्मसु ताड़ितोपि सैत्थम अत्युलबन कर्णबाणि गतव्यथोयत उरुमानयान. So Vidura, he understood. This is the action of Yogamaya. Krishna is acting, Yogamaya is acting on me, and Mahamaya is acting on Duryodhan. He will be destroyed in some time. So that is the ultimate understanding of a devotee, that whatever is happening in my life, it is all happening by the will of the Lord. So suffering is guaranteed in this material world, for sure. If somebody comes to Krishna consciousness thinking that अबे problem नहीं आना चाहिए, नहीं अभी तो मैं chanting कर रहा हूँ, अब तो problem नहीं आना चाहिए. तो कितने लोग हैं जिनके जीवन में प्रॉब्लम नहीं है चैंटिंग करने के बाद, बोले ज्यादा हो गया पृथ्वी. So that's how Bhagavatam is filled with such examples, that we should not expect unrealistic things. So therefore we should not worry when things are beyond our control. So there is a slide, a nice picture. Do you have a problem in life? Yes. Can you do something about it? If yes, then why worry? If no, then why worry? So if you can't do anything, then चिंता करके क्या फायदा है? चिंता चिता समायुक्ता बिंदु मात्र विशेषता निर्जीवम दहते चिता सजीवम दहते चिंता. A dead body is burnt by fire. A living person is burnt by chinta. Worry is like a rocking chair, keeps you going, takes you nowhere. So that is worry. So there is no need to worry about things when you understand that thing, it is not in my hand. Then in the 16th verse, it is said, so somebody may ask, all the Pandavas are great devotees, how can they be affected by time factor? Krishna should have, control the time factor. So then he says, Bhishma says, this is not the time actually. Earlier he said it is time. Then the 16th verse, he is revealing the real reason why problems are coming in the life of Pandavas. This is the plan of the Lord. No other cause. Nahi asya karhi chitrajan Uman Veda Viditsitam
Uman Veda
Yadvijigyasaya Yukta
Yudvijigyasaya
Muyanti Kavayopihi.
Muhanti Kavayopihi. O King, no one can know the plan of Lord, even though great philosopher inquires exhaustively. They are builder. Hare Krishna. Purport should I read?
Just a minute.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
So, Nahi asya karhichit rajan, O king, this nobody can know, Puman Ved, nobody can know the plan of Asya. Asya, who is this Asya? That Supreme Lord, his plan. This Krishna who is standing in front, his plan is this. Yad Vijigyasaya, even great philosophers, even they inquire exhaustively, Muhyanti, still they get bewildered. Nobody can understand the plan of the Lord. So how Lord is working in the devotee's life? Nobody can know. How Lord is bringing, in the 5th chapter, when the Narad Muni's mother departed, Prabhupada writes a very brilliant line. Anybody remembers? This is how Lord drags a sincere soul towards himself. So many times it looks very, very cruel, right? इतना problem मेरे जीवन में कैसे दे सकते हैं भगवान? थोड़ा तो कृपा करते, थोड़ा तो concession दे देते. No, पांडवास को नहीं छोड़े तो फिर. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, no person starting with Brahma or Shiva knows the plan of the Lord. What to speak of me? Arey Brahma Shiva nahi samajh sakte. How will I understand the plan of the Lord? So then he says, maybe no one knows but inquiry is necessary. Chakravarti Thakur is writing all this. He says, does he want to give suffering? Or does he want to give joy? Or does he want to give suffering and happiness both? So then he answers the question. He says it cannot be first. Pandavas, they may say, no, it cannot be first. He doesn't want to give us suffering. Because he doesn't want to give suffering to somebody and affection to others. Because then his quality of equality, will be compromised. It cannot be second option also. He want to give us joy. We have not seen happiness in our life. He's not giving us joy. And then he says he cannot be third option also. Because, we have suffered so much. So it will be a contradiction to his loving nature. So then it is finally decided nobody can solve the problem by inquiry. Even if you ask, nobody will be able to solve. Even those who have intelligence, they get bewildered. So nobody can understand how Lord is working in the lives of devotees. How Lord is acting, nobody can understand. How Lord is working in the life of devotees, nobody can understand. Karmanani hasya bhavo bhavasya te durga shrayothari bhayat palayanam. Kalatmano yat pramadayutashrama swatman rate khidyati dhir vidamiha. Uddhav is telling to Vidurji, Dhira, sober, great personalities are also bewildered. How Krishna is acting in such a way? He would remember that when Krishna, he would ask me, what should we do in this situation? When, the story, when the messengers of the kings, they came, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj also sent the invitation for Rajasuya Yagya. So then Krishna turned to Uddhava, abhi kya karna hai? So Uddhava was thinking, mereko bhi puch rahe. You are the Supreme Lord. You know everything. And Chakravarti Thakur writes, he was not just asking for the namesake. Puchne ke liye puch lete hai na. No, he would actually follow what advice Uddhava would give. So this would bewilder Uddhava. He has no activities, still he is working. Karmani anihasya, he is unborn, still he takes birth. Durga Shrayo, he is fear personified, fears from him, still he is running. And Kunti Maharani, what she says? Similar bewildering activity of Krishna.
That he was crying when Mother Yashoda was trying to bind him.
Yes. So when Mother Yashoda was carrying a small stick, and Krishna is running, Rudantam Urunetram Saatank Netram, he's not just making a show. So that's how. Nobody can understand how Lord is acting. Prabhupada writes, in the middle of the purport, even the exhaustive philosophical inquiry of the sages cannot ascertain the plan of the Lord. The best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord without argument. The suffering of Pandavas were never due to their past deeds. So we should never argue why Lord has done this to me. It is all the will of the Lord, plan of the Lord, we will never understand. When we pray to Krishna, many times we believe in the omnipotency of Krishna, but we don't believe the omniscience of Krishna. Krishna, मेरा plan ready है, आप बस उसको sanction कर दो. आप टेंशन मत लो, आप सोचने का काम मत करो. मैं सब सोच लिया अपना intelligence लगा के, So that's how we go and pray to Krishna. These are my plans, you just sanction them. We believe you are all powerful, but we don't believe he knows better than us. So therefore, there is no need to ask why this has happened to me. Nobody can answer. Without argument, just abide by the orders of the Lord. The Lord had to execute the plan of establishing the kingdom of virtue, and therefore his own devotees suffered temporarily. Temporarily, life was all full of troubles. In order to establish the conquest of virtue. So therefore, even Bhishma became the plan of the instrument in the plan of the Lord. See, he put Bhishma on the other side. And Bhishma was humble enough. He didn't tell the whole world, yeah, I am the instrument of the Lord, I'm just trying to fulfill the prophecy that even if a greatest of the personalities on the other side, he will be defeated. So Bhishma was also, it is so easy to do a service if we like it, right? Maja aata hai, chalo, I like it. I like to do it and I have been given this service. Bhishma was given a service which he didn't like to do. And he did it whole life without even cribbing. बोले मेरे को क्यों दे दिया? ये बाकी लोग बैठे थे खाली, उनको दे देते, why I had to be given all these difficult services? So to put all your energy and enthusiasm, and if you don't like the service and then you are given that service, then you may do it, but with half heart. अभी क्या करें, अभी बोला है तो कर देते हैं, So Bhishma was doing it with all his capacity. So it was all the will of the Lord. So that's how he's saying. The best policy is to accept the will of the Lord. Even the great fighter like Bhishma could not win the battle of Kurukshetra because Lord wanted to show that vice cannot conquer virtue, regardless of who tries to execute it. So in Ramayana also, Agni certified that, okay, Sita is pure, and he said that, in fact, by touching her, I have become pure. That was the sanction, that was certification of Agni. But still, one washerman commented something, and then Lord Ram told Lakshman, you send her to forest. And both Sita and Lakshman accepted it. Mother Sita didn't go to women's liberation movement. Mera adhikar nahi de rahe ye, No, she accepted it. That Lord Ram, he is a king and he has to establish the standards because, in the future, people will say, just see, Lord Ram kept his wife who were spending his time with another person. So everybody was just assisting Lord Ram in establishing a dharma, a kingdom of dharma. That's how everybody should accept the will of the Lord. Bhishma was a great devotee, but he chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord, because Lord wanted to show that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. Then, the last consoling verse, he's speaking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Tasmadivam Daivatantram
Tasmadidam Daivatantram
Vyavasya Bharatarshabha Tasyano Vihito Natha Natha Pahi Prajaprabho.
Natha Pahi Prajaprabho.
O best among the descendants of Bharata, Yudhishthira, I maintain therefore that all this is within the plan of the Lord. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my lords, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless.
So he is saying, finally, please accept the plan of the Lord and obey it. Don't question, don't try to use your brain, kyun ho gaya, kaise ho gaya, just follow it. You will never be able to understand. And that's what happens in many times in services also. Some instructions are given and क्यों बोला ऐसा, कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है, ये करने से problem दिख रहा है, But all the great, devotees, they have spent their time understanding it, analyze the situation, and then they are giving this solution. That means there must be something in that. So therefore, we can just accept the situation, accept the solution, and go ahead. Of course, we can ask for clarification. But if it is told, chup chap karo, so then we should just switch off our logical and analytical intelligence and do it. And that will help us. And then in due course of time, we'll understand, acha yaar, itna acha advice diya tha. It works. That's how many things we cannot just understand according to our current intelligence. If we can't understand something as per our current intelligence, we should just keep it in car park. Okay, this solution, this instruction was given, I don't understand. Okay, keep it in the go down. After spending few years in Krishna consciousness, then we will understand, iska matlab ye hai kya, That's what happens. So that is the aha moment, eureka moment, अरे अभी पता चला, इसका मतलब ये है. So that's what happens. So therefore Bhishma is telling, just accept the plan of the Lord and obey it. Tasmadivam daiva tantram, just inconceivable plan of the Lord, accept it. Vyavasya bharatarshabha, O bharatarshabha. Tasya anuvihito anatha. All these subjects, they are now anatha. Just take care of them properly. Natha prahi praja prabhu. Prabhupada uses the word. Nice purport, nice line. Popular saying is that housewife teaches the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. Similarly, the Lord teaches the world by teaching the devotees. Devotees does not have to learn anything new, because the Lord teaches the devotees always from within, whenever. Therefore, a show is made to teach the devotee. It is for teaching the less intelligent man. A devotee's duty, therefore, is to ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. Wow. This is ordinary people, they can't even handle this. It is very difficult, such lofty philosophy. Just accept it, a mercy, whatever tribulations. So that's how we have to at least understand that this is what is expected of us. He says, Prabhupada writes 3 things. Accept the tribulations from the Lord in 3 ways. They are benediction, without hesitation, and as favors. So Prabhupada writes it. Such very strong line. Accept the tribulations of the Lord as a benediction. Then the Pandavas were advised by Bhishma to accept the responsibility without hesitation. And last, a pure devotee accepts tribulations as favor. So the more we learn to accept tribulations as favor, the more we become mature. That is what is expected of a devotee. That's what is happening in the lives of all the characters of Bhagavatam. Any examples where tribulations were accepted as favor, tribulations were accepted as mercy, without hesitation, as a benediction? Bhagavatam is full of such examples. Any examples?
Kunti Maharani.
Kunti Maharani's prayer, she said
Okay.
everything is solved.
Yes. Anybody? Anything else? Any other?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj.
Okay. Dhruv Maharaj, okay. Any other? Parikshit
Maharaj Chitraketu.
Chitraketu Maharaj, he accepted as benediction. Guna pravaha etasmin, kaha shapa, kaha anugraha, kaha swarga, naraka kova, kim sukham dukkham eva. It's all the modes of nature acting. He just said, oh mother, I didn't mean it, but I accept it. Anything else? Any other personality? It shows this. Accept all the tribulations as favor.
Parikshit
as
Maharaj.
benediction. Parikshit Maharaj, yes. He says, oh, it is mercy of the Lord. Nirveda mulo dvijashapa rupo. I was too much attached to my family, so Lord has appeared in the form of the curse of a Brahmana. Any other?
Even the Brahmana, Avanti Brahmana prays that my family members.
Narad Muni cursed by Daksha Maharaj.
Okay. Savanti Brahmana, when he is rejected by all the family members, he says, what's that verse? Nobody is a cause. Nayam janome sukha dukkha heto na devatatma nagraha karma kala. Manah param karanam. It is my mind which is the cause of trouble. It's the mercy of the Lord which he has given me. Yes.
When Narad Muni's mother passed away, he also took that as a benediction, so that he could
Anugraham
concentrate.
manyamana kripa hai. Pura tragic story hai wo. 5 साल का बच्चा, बेचारी माँ ही है खाली, और माँ भी चली जाती है और बच्चा बोल रहा है कृपा कर दिया भगवान ने। मतलब इट इज अनइमेजिनेबल टू थिंक लाइक दिस। और एनी अदर पास्ट टाइम, इतना सारा पास्ट टाइम।
Narad Muni cursed by Daksha Maharaj
Okay, so what he said after that?
that he cannot go, he cannot
Stay at one place, right?
stay at one place.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he took it as benediction.
हाँ, अच्छा हो गया,
All the preacher has to move here and there.
Yes. So that's what Prabhupada said. All the parents, they have cursed me because so many of the devotees, they are joining. So now I want all of you disciples, you take that curse and let me stay, you know, so that I can write books. Yes. So that's how we have to understand. We can't change situations. We have to change our response. That's it. So when problem comes, you know, there are two options. Either to terminate the service, करना ही नहीं है सेवा, छोड़ो यार, इतना प्रॉब्लम है, ऑलरेडी इतना प्रॉब्लम था लाइफ में, और सेवा, और आई केम टू कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस फॉर पीस, राइट? भक्ति में क्यों आते हैं लोग? शांति चाहिए, शांति मिलेगी ना, और यहाँ पे शांति के अलावा सब कुछ मिलता है। सेवा मीन्स एंजाइटी। तुम्हारा सेवा या दुख होए, क्या बोल रहे हैं? सेव तो परम सुख, भक्ति ठाकुर इज सेइंग, तुम्हार सेवा या दुख होए जत सेव तो परम सुख, सेवा सुख दुख परम संपद नाशय अविद्या दुख। बाहर वालों को सुनाएंगे तो आएगा नहीं, कोई डिवोटी नहीं बनेगा। मैं तो डिवोटी बनने आया हूँ क्योंकि शांति चाहिए। यहाँ पे बोल रहे हैं शांति नहीं मिलेगा, शांति छोड़ के सब मिलेगा। So that's how a devotee is. So either to terminate the service or tolerate. दो ही ऑप्शन है हमारे पास, ताम तितिक्षस्व और जस्ट गिव अप द सर्विस, मतलब नहीं करूंगा सेवा, जाओ। टर्मिनेशन इज इजी। व्हेन प्रॉब्लम्स कम इन एनी सर्विस, सेवा नहीं करूंगा बोलना बहुत आसान है, बट कंटिन्यू टू डू दैट सेवा, दैट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट। दैट टेस्ट्स आवर मैच्योरिटी। मैं बोल रहा हूँ मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं हूँ वो लेवल, बट दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव टू लर्न। When problem comes in service, when और इतना मैंने रात दिन एक करके सेवा किया और इतना गाली मेरे को ही पड़ रहा है, you know, बाकी जो सेवा नहीं कर रहा है उसको गाली दे ही नहीं रहा है कोई, you know, and I am doing so much service and I am also getting lots of sauce, and I'll not do this service. So it is easy, but Krishna is more pleased. That's what we can see in all these situations. And then Bhishma, he's telling, you know, who is that time factor? Who is that Daiva Tantra? Who has put you in all this situation? He glorifies Krishna in further verses. From 18 to 24 verses, he's glorifying Krishna's position as a supreme personality. एष वै भगवान् साक्षात् आद्यो नारायण पुमान्
आद्यो नारायणः पुनः
भयन्मायया लोकम्
मोहय्यानयया लोकम्
गूढश्चरति वृष्णिषु।
गूढश्चरति विष्णुषु।
Is no other than the inconceivable, is not the Godhead. He is the first Narayan, supreme angel. He is moving amongst the descendant of King Vishnu, just like one of us, and he is bewildering us with his self-created energy.
So all these Pandavas, they may say, how can you say that it is all dependent on the Lord and no one can know the plan of the Lord? That's what he said. Nahiyasya karichit rajan, nobody can understand the plan of the Lord. So Pandavas may say, Arey, Lord is standing right there, go and ask him. Na? You can ask the Lord, he's standing right there. Ask him, he'll tell what is his plan. Simple, na? Bhagwan samne khada hai, puch lo na. So Bhishma says, no, it is not so easy like this. Esha vai Bhagavan Sakshat. This Krishna, he is Bhagavan. He is none other than the inconceivable personality of Godhead. Adyo Narayana. He's the first Narayan. He's the supreme enjoyer, Puman. And Mohayan Mayaya. He is bewildering us by his Maya. Although he's moving amongst the Vrishnis, just like us, nobody can understand. So, so Pandavas may say, ask him now, we can ask him, right? Bhishma says, no, he bewilders us with his energy. Even if asked by Bhishma, the Lord will not speak. But instead, he will evade him by answering, Arey, am I so intelligent? So if you ask the Lord, he'll say, Main itna moorkh hu, I'm not so intelligent. And then even if he says something, he bewilders everyone. So therefore, nobody can understand the plan of the Lord. He is not subject to inquiry. Nobody can ask him, Aisa kyun kiya aapne? First of all, he will not answer. And even if he answers, nobody will understand it. So that is Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada writes, Vedic system. Yeah, somebody can read the purport.
Vedic system of acquiring knowledge is the deductive process. The Vedic knowledge is received perfectly by the disciplic succession from the authority. Such knowledge is never dogmatic, as is conceived by less intelligent persons. The mother is the authority to verify the identity of father, sees the authority for such confidential knowledge. Therefore, authority is not dogmatic. In Bhagavad Gita, the script is confirmed in the 4th chapter, 4.2, in the perfect system of learning is to receive it from authority. The very same system gets accepted universally as truth, but only the false arguer speaks against this system.
Okay. Thank you. So Prabhupada in this purport, he is focusing on the Vedic system of getting knowledge. So how to get the knowledge of the Supreme Lord? We have to just surrender to the authorities and ask them. Evam parampara praptam. So then Prabhupada gives an example that when scientists say that they can travel to other side, men believe these stories blindly. Nobody questions the authorities of scientists, But in case of Vedic truths, they have been taught not to believe. So that's what we have learned since the beginning of our education. Even the person who discovered this DNA model, Watson Crick, he said, all the biologists should keep in mind that whatever they see in this world, it is not designed, it is evolved. पहले से सोच के रखना है, it is evolution. That's how they have trained us. They have trained the modern science students that you see this as a evolution. And we accept it. But when it comes to Vedic authority, then we question. This means that the misguided men can believe only one authority, the scientist, but will reject the authority of the Vedas. Then the result is that people have degenerated. And then Prabhupada writes in the further paragraphs that Bhishma, he is a Mahajan and he is, establishing who is the supreme. And then he quotes this 10:14 verse. This verse is elaborately explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita to explain how Krishna is that Mool Narayan. The verse says, Adyo Narayan. So Krishna is the Mool Narayan. He is the source of Narayan. 10:14. It is a very detailed description is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Kaviraj Goswami describes how Krishna is that Mool Narayan. And he quotes this whole conversation of Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Brahma, when he starts offering prayers, then Krishna says, Are, you are saying that you are my son, but you are born of Narayan, right? So how come you are my son? I am small boy. So then he quotes this 14:14. Narayanastam nahi sarvadehinam atmasya dhisha khilaloka sakshi Narayano angam narbhujalayana tachapi satyam natavaiva maya. Narayanastvam nahi sarvadehinam. You are that Narayan. You are the Atma of the entire universe. You are Adhisha. You are the controller. You are the witness, Sakshi. Narayana is your Anga. Anga means plenary portion. So that's how Prabhupada is establishing this. That Brahmaji says, Krishna is that first Narayan, Moola Narayan. And then Prabhupada describes how there are plenary portions. So from Krishna, Balaram comes. Then from Balaram, what comes? The first Chaturvyuha. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Then from this first Chaturvyuha, Sankarshan comes the second Chaturvyuha. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And from the second Sankarshana comes the Mahavishnu. And then from Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshay Vishnu and then Shirodakshay Vishnu. So this Mahavishnu, he comes from Sankarshan. Garbhodakshay Vishnu comes from Pradyumna and Shirodakshay Vishnu comes from Aniruddha. That is how technically they come. But they come through Mahavishnu. Through Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Through Garbhodakshay Vishnu comes Shirodakshay Vishnu. But actually they have come from Pradyumna and Aniruddha and Sankarshan. So that is some technical details. So therefore, how Krishna acts, nobody can understand. Then Prabhupada quotes this Narayana Paro Avyakta. Okay, so even great personalities are bewildered. Nobody can understand the plan of the Lord. Then he continues, 19th verse. Asyanubhavam Bhagavan Vedaguhyatamam Shivaha Devarshi Narada Sakshat Bhagavan Kapilo Nripa.
Bhagavan Kapilo Nripa. O King Lord Shiva, Narada, the sages amongst the demigods and Kapila, the incarnation of Godhead, all know very confidentially about his glories through direct contact. Hare Krishna.
Asya Anubhava, his glories, they are very confidential. Veda Guhyatamam, nobody can understand. Only few people they know. Shiva, Narada, and Kapila. They only know direct contact. So Prabhupada writes, pure devotees of the Lord are all bhava, or persons who know the glories of the Lord in different services. As the Lord has innumerable expansions, there are innumerable devotees. So Lord, he appears in response to the devotees' prayers. Yad yad dhyata urugaya vibhavayanti tattad vapu pranayase sadanugrahaya. In whatever form a devotee prays to the Lord, Lord appears in that form. Because Prahlad told Hiranyakashipu, Lord is there in this pillar. Acharya says that in Narasimha was waiting, which pillar Prahlad will point to. And when he pointed in this pillar, Lord is there. So Lord entered that pillar. Satyam vidhatam nijbhritya bhashitam, to prove the words of his devotee true. So who is that devotee? Satyam vidhatum nijbhritya. Who is that bhritya?
Prahlad Maharaj.
One is Prahlad. Apart from that, prove the words of his own devotee true. Lord appeared in this form. There are 4 devotees. One is Brahma, because Brahmaji said Tathastu.
Brahmaji, yes.
Okay, who else?
Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kumara.
Narada. अरे वो तो इसमें है, ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, you know. Narada, because he told that Indra that the child who's in the womb of Kayadhu, he'll be a great devotee, and because of him, Lord will appear. So to prove the words of Narada, he appeared. To prove the words of Brahma, he appeared. To prove the words of Prahlad, he appeared. And to prove the words of his devotee Hiranyakashipu, he appeared. You know, because Hiranyakashipu told, when he saw that, I'm trying so much to kill this small child, and he is not getting killed, I think I'll be killed. So to prove that word true, you know, Lord appeared and killed him. That's what Chakravarti Thakur writes. So that is how the Lord appears in a way to fulfill the desire of devotees. So Prabhupada writes, there are 12 great devotees, 12 Mahajans. They know the glories of the Lord. And according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is one of the Acharyas, he explains that Anubhava, the glory of the Lord, is first appreciated by the devotee in ecstasy, manifesting the symptoms of all these, Ashtasattvic Vikara. And then Prabhupada, he mentions there are some bhava, anubhava. Prabhupada goes into that, the Ashtasattvic Vikara. After, in bhava also there are many stages. Bhava, anubhava. So all these Prabhupada is writing there. Such different understandings of bhavas are exchanged between Lord and Yashoda. These glories of the Lord are exhibited in his being subordinated before the devotee. That is another feature of the Lord. That is a special ornament of the character of the Lord. Lord becomes subordinate to his devotees. Evam sandarshita hyanga harina bhritya vashyata. Lord comes under the control of devotees. Lord himself says, I put my devotee into difficulty, and thus the devotee becomes more purified in exchanging transcendental bhava with me. So therefore, Lord is putting his devotees into all these troubles so that we can become more eager to experience Krishna. All of us have experienced when we are in difficult situations, that the type of intensity we have in our prayers, that is amazing. The type of rounds we chant during those days, ऐसा जीवन भर कर लेंगे तो pure devotee सच में ही बन जाएंगे. That's how Lord gives a glimpse of what is the intense practice of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada writes, the material relations are based on reciprocation of material enjoyment, which depends mainly on material resources. Therefore, when material resources are withdrawn, the devotee is 100% attracted towards the loving transcendental service of the Lord. Thus, the Lord snatches the fallen soul from the mire of material existence. The tribulations offered by the Lord to his devotee are different from the tribulations resulting from previous actions. So the karma which the devotee is suffering from the external point of view, it may look that his suffering is prarabdha karma. So Chakravarti Thakur writes in one of the purports in the 5th canto, there are two types of prarabdha karma. There is auspicious prarabdha karma and there is an inauspicious prarabdha karma. So what is the auspicious prarabdha karma? He says there are 4 types of auspicious prarabdha karma. So first, it occurs by the will of the Lord to increase the longing of the devotee. It's just like when you apply some ointment to eyes, it burns a lot. It is like that sharp ointment. So prarabdha karma which devotees suffer by the will of the Lord, it ultimately purifies the devotee. It's like initially the ointment burns, but then the eyes are cured. That is one type of prarabdha karma. And then this prarabdha karma is accepted favorably by the devotee. And this creates more intense bhakti. And third and fourth, this takes place in those who already possess bhava. So this auspicious prarabdha karma happens in life of pure devotees. And what is inauspicious? The inauspicious prarabdha karma means by those sinful activities, one becomes more and more inclined in materialistic activities. So that's how Lord, he arranges the problems in the life of his devotees in such a way that ultimately one comes close to the Lord. Okay. Then he continues. Bhishma. Okay, we'll have 5 minutes break and then we'll continue.
Forty-five.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll continue. So then after telling that who is this Krishna, he is that supreme personality and nobody can understand him. Then he says, don't think that this personality who is your relative, who is standing in front of you, he is your relative, he is your cousin. No, he is not that. Out of ignorance only you are thinking like this. Yanmanyase matuleyam
Janmannasya
surin
Matulaya
mitram priyattamam priyam mitram surittamam
Priyam Mitram Surittamam
akaro shivam dutam
Akoro Satyam
sauridat atasarathim.
Shuhudada Sarathim. O king, that personality whom out of ignorance only you thought to be your maternal cousin, your very dear friend, well-wisher, counselor, messenger, benefactor, etc., is that very personality of God, Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So
Krishna itself.
yanmanyase matuleyam, you are thinking out of your ignorance only that he is your maternal cousin. Priyam, he is your Priyam Mitram, he is your dear friend. Suhrittamam, he is your Sachiva. Sachiva means counselor. Duta, he is messenger. Saurida, he is benefactor. Sarathi, out of your ignorance, you are thinking like that. So Prabhupada writes, out of causeless mercy, he performs all kind of service for his devotees. That is his mercy. But that does not mean that he has changed his position as the absolute person. Lord, he never goes into, inferiority complex. If I'll serve him, he doesn't have a prestige issue. If I'll serve him, my fame will go down. People will not respect me as God. No. People, they fear all these things because they are not sure about their position in the future. But for Lord, there is no competitor who has existed in the past and in future it will not be. So therefore, he is happy. Serving the devotees, he is not affected by all these insignificant things. In the Rajasuya Yagya also, when Yudhishthir Maharaj arranged, and all the big personalities were given various services. What service Krishna took? Washing the feet of all the sages, all the great personalities. So therefore, when Lord does something insignificant, his position is not minimized. And even if he does something wrong, still his position is not minimized. He's stealing butter, he is dancing with other men's wives, he is running away from the battlefield, he's speaking lies. Absolute truth is speaking lie, So still he is glorified, and people, they are singing songs and they are becoming rich. Singing the songs of all these mistakes and all these apparent wrong things which Krishna has done. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami, when Parikshit Maharaj asked in the 10th canto after hearing Rasalila, Hare, how come? He is Dharam Samsthapana Arthaya Sambhavami, and he's breaking royally all the dharma. He is dancing with other men's wives. What is this happening? So then Shukadeva Goswami says, Tejiyasam na doshaye, natam starke na yojayet. You should not find faults in the great person. Even if they do something wrong, they will not be affected. Just like the sun, when evaporates the water from the stool and urine, doesn't get affected. But if somebody imitates the actions of the great people, they'll be destroyed. If somebody imitates Lord Shiva's action of drinking poison, they'll be destroyed. So how to understand? How to follow? Ishwaranam vacha satyam nathaiva vacharitam kvachit. Ishwaranam vachaha. Follow the instructions of the great personalities, not their actions. So that is the safest way. Even Krishna told Arjuna, we saw in the 7th chapter, he is telling Arjuna, kill Ashwatthama. He is directly telling, but still Arjuna didn't do it. So he followed dharma. So that a Brahmana should not be killed. So therefore, Ishwaranam vacha satyam. The position of a great personality is never undermined, even if he does something wrong. So when Krishna does all this, his position is not minimized. And he continues. Sarvatmanah samdrisho
सर्वात्मनं
Hi
समदृष्टो
advayasyanaham
यदत्यान
tatkritam mati vaishamyam
तत्कृतं मतिवैश्यं
niravadyasya na kvachit.
निर्वदस्य न कचित्.
The absolute personality of Godhead is present in everyone's heart. He is equally kind to everyone and is free from the false ego of differentiation. Therefore, whatever he does is free from material inability. He is equivalent.
Equivalent.
So, so Chakravarti Thakur says, becoming the messenger or charioteer because of being controlled by bhakti is a degradation of his position. If he is like that, then how can Lord give real happiness to others? So then he answers, Sarvatmana samdrisho, he is equal to everyone. He is in everyone's heart. He is advayasya anahankrita. He is free from false ego. He is free from any understanding of duality. He is beyond the dualities of this material world. Therefore, tat kritam mati vaishamyam. So whatever he does is free from vishamta. There is no vishamta in the actions of Lord. Material inability is not there. Niravadyasya, he is equibalanced. So that's the Lord is. So 21, 22, 23, 24, Bhishma is giving the further understanding of the nature of the Supreme Person. Who is this Supreme Personality who is standing in front of us? He's not an ordinary person. He's anahankritaha. He's without any false ego. And then in the 22nd verse, so Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the 21st verse, he's about he is absolute and therefore there is nothing different from him. He is Kaivalya. He's nothing, there is nothing except himself. Everything is coming from him only. His entire universe is coming from him. In the second canto, it is described Dravya, Kala, Karmascha, Swabhavo, Jivo, Evacha, Vasudevo, Paro Anyo, Na Chanyo Artho Asti. There is nothing existing in this world apart from Vasudev. Because from Vasudev, everything is coming. Dravya, Kala, Karma, Swabhava, Jiva. Everything is coming from Vasudev only. So he is the only thing who is existing. So when he exhibits himself as a driver of Arjuna, his position is not changed. It is the power of devotional service only that demonstrates him as the chariot driver or messenger. That is the glory of a pure devotee, that only he can bring out service from the Supreme Lord. Nobody else can do it. Devotee can do anything. And the Lord submits to the desire of a devotee. That is a prerogative of a devotee. Nobody else can instruct the Lord. If you dance, I'll give you sweet. If you dance, I'll give you butter. Only devotees can do it. And Krishna accepts it because Krishna likes it. So that is how Lord is. And then in the 22nd verse, Bhishma is telling the merciful nature of the Lord. How great he is. He is controlling entire universe. He has nothing to do with this, material inability, but still he has come to me. Tathapi ekanta bhakteshu Pashya bhupanukampitam Yanmya sums tyajata sakshat No darshanamagata.
Krishna darshanam agataha.
Yes, pride has been
Yes,
equally
this right.
considered
In the
and
matter.
tasted for him, while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servant.
You see, such great Lord, still he has come to me. So how obliged, how grateful a devotee is. Or itne bade hain Bhagwan, fir bhi mere liye aaye. Just for one person, insignificant personality, he has come himself. He has not sent his representative, jaake darshan de kya mere taraf se, no, he's coming himself, So that's how the Lord is. So you can imagine if Gopal Krishna Maharaj comes himself, at home, आपके घर पे आएंगे, बोले अरे महाराज स्वयं आ गए, इनको इतना सारा सेवा है, पूरा इस्कॉन वर्ल्ड में इतना सारा सेवा है, फिर भी मेरे घर पे आए हैं. So if Lord comes himself, so then what to speak of that? So that's what he's saying. Ekanta, just see, oh king, Pashya Bhupa Anukampita, just see the Anukampa of the Lord. Ekanta Bhakteshu, for his unflinching devotee, he has come himself. As now I am leaving my life here, Yanme assumes Tyajata, Krishna Darshanamagata, he has graciously come before me, before himself. That's how the Lord is so very merciful. So Prabhupada writes, the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone, but is still more inclined to his surrendered devotees. A living entity is so made by the will of the Almighty that he is most happy when placing himself in the condition of absolute dependence. In this world, to become servant, बाहर जाके बोलो servant बनने के लिए हम लोग इधर. So they'll get a shock. बोले मैं तो इधर boss बनने आया हूँ, इधर दास अनुदास सिखा रहे हैं, हम तो boss अनुबास बनने आए हैं. So this concept of being servant, how pleasing it is that Chaitanya, Krishna comes himself as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? To experience what is the bliss which Radharani is experiencing in serving me. But I am supposed to be Rasaraj. I am supposed to be the embodiment of bliss, and she is enjoying 10 million times more than me. So what is the happiness which she is getting in serving me? So to experience that is one of the internal reasons for the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, what is that? That verse starts, Adi Leela, first chapter, 6th verse. Saukhyam chasya madanubhavata kidrisho vanayeva. So he experienced. Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho vanayeva. What is the glory of Radharani's love? Shri Radhaya pranaya mahima kidrisho. Saukhyam chasya madanubhavata kidrisho veti lobhat. Arey, what? I want to experience my own glories. Mera kya hai? What is there in my beauty that she is experiencing? Saukhyam chasya madanubhavata kidrisho veti lobhat tadbhavadhya. To experience that, Krishna appeared as Shachigarbha Sindhu Harindo. So the experience of being servant of Krishna, therefore it is said, even Advaitacharya, the biggest of the personalities of the universe, they are becoming servants. Mahavishnu is becoming Advaitacharya. Shirodaksha Vishnu is becoming Virubhadra, Gosai, son of Nityanand Prabhu. And Brahma is becoming Haridas Thakur. Why? To experience that bliss of servant. Krishna Das Abhimane Ananda Sindhu Brahma Shiva Sheshipai Nahi Ek Bindu. So that is what is we have come to learn. तो कुछ तो है, इतने बड़े बड़े लोग छोड़ के दास बनने आ रहे हैं. So something must be there, right? The opposite tendency is the cause of fall down. The living entity has this tendency of falling down by the dint of misidentifying himself as fully independent. And the last few lines Prabhupada is writing. The best way to establish our relationship in transcendental sweetness is to approach him through his recognized devotees. One should not try to establish the relation directly. There must be a via medium, which is transparent and competent. These two are the qualifications of spiritual master, transparent and competent, to lead us to the right path. Competent means he should have the presentation skills also. He may be transparent, but he should be able to present the philosophy in a right way. So he presents the truth in a way that conditioned souls can accept. It is just like a competent person presents Krishna consciousness in a way that will do least damage to the faith of that person. That's what Bhagavad Gita Krishna says. Anybody remembers the verse? Don't disturb the faith of ignorant people. Which verse is this?
Third chapter.
I am also
Third
not sure.
chapter, chapter 18.
Okay, anyways. So I forgot. You should not disturb the faith of ignorant people. You should use them. Joshet sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharan. That's the first two lines. Okay, anyways. So that's how, yes, found. Na buddhi vedam ajnanam karma sanginam na buddhi vedam janayed. So this is like anesthesia before surgery. If you do surgery without anesthesia, वो भाग जाएगा वो, you will not undergo the pain of surgery. So competency means you should present the philosophy in a way which a person can accept and digest. If you give a high class philosophy to a person who has come day one in Krishna consciousness, Tnadapi, nahi, Ashalishyava Padaratam Pinashtuman, day one पे सुनाएंगे तो बोलेंगे अरे ऐसा है, ना धनम ना जन्म, अरे मैं तो इसके लिए आया हूँ, और ना बोल लगा रहे हैं पहले, ना नहीं, मेरे को धनम जन्म सुंदरी सब चाहिए. So therefore a devotee, a guru should be transparent and competent. And then after describing this, Bhishma gives the general principle of Bhakti Yoga, of the power of Bhakti Yoga in the next verse. How Bhakti Yoga reveals the Lord himself. Bhaktya mano yasmin vacha nayannama kirtayan Yajan kalevaram yogi muchyate kama karma bihi.
Hare Krishna. The personality of Godhead who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name.
Bhaktya Veshya Manaha. So Aveshya Mana. So Supreme Lord appears in the mind of devotee. Bhaktya Aveshya Mana. When? Vacha Yan Nama Kirtayan. By attentive devotion and meditation and chanting the holy names. Vacha Yan Nama Kirtayan. Then if you do these things, then the Lord will appear in the mind of a devotee when he is leaving his body. Tyajan Kalevaram. And what will happen when Lord enters the mind at the time of death? Muchyate Kama Karma Bhi. He becomes free from all the material bondage. That is the power of Bhakti Yoga. So devotee should have no doubt, that how will I die, in what situation I will die. We cannot plan our death. We can plan everything. मैं मरूंगा ना, तू मेरे लिए कीर्तन करना, तू करताल बजाना, तू मृदंग बजाना. We cannot plan it. It is all arranged by the Lord. Lord plans every devotee's death. And it happens wonderfully. Somehow it happens. Nobody plans for it. We plan for everything but our death. That is the one thing which is planned by the Lord for a devotee. But the Lord will plan when we do these things. Bhaktya Veshya Mano Yasmin Vachana Yannama Kirtayan. Then Lord will enter the mind. Tyajan Kalevaram Yogi. Muchyate Kama Karma Bhi. And then he makes a request to the Lord. Now Bhishma, he is done with the instructions. He's not started instructions. He's just met Bhishma, Yudhishthira and all the Pandavas. He spoke some initial things and then he is requesting the Supreme Lord. He says, please stay, please don't go. I want to leave my body having your darshan. Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshatam Kalevaram Yavad Idam Hinomyaham Prasannahasa Arunalochanullasan Mukham Bhujo Dhyana Pathaschaturbujaha
May my Lord and who beautifully decorating lotus face, with eyes as red as a rising sun, is smiling, kindly await me at the moment when I quit this material body.
Please wait. Now Bhishma is requesting, please wait, don't go, pratiksha kariye. As I am leaving my body now, please wait for that moment, don't go away. Oh my Lord, prasanna hasa aruna lochalollasan. Your beautiful eyes, hasa aruna, beautiful smiling face with reddish eyes, mukham bhuja, smiling face, please stay there. Stay here. Don't go away. So that's how a devotee can request the Lord, please appear and stay in front of me. Now I am departing. So Bhishma is attached to the four-handed form, Chaturbhuja. He's saying, Dhyan Patha Chaturbhuja. So he's attached to that four-handed form of the Lord. So therefore he is requesting the Supreme Lord's beautiful form may appear. Tarunam Ramaniyangam. Tarunam Ramaniyangam. What's that verse? Okay, I forgot. There's a verse in fourth canto which describes the beauty of the Lord. Tarunam Ramaniyangam. He says, the Lord gives shelter to the devotees. When the Lord appears in front of the devotee, he gives shelter to the devotees. Pranata ashrayanam nimnam sharanyam karunarnavam. He gives mercy to the devotees by his beautiful form. Tarunam Ramaniyangam Arunoshthekshadharanam. His beautiful eyes, smiling face, reddish lips, they are all shelter for the devotees. So when we take darshan of the Lord, it is a shelter for a devotee. When Lord glances on a devotee, that glance of the Lord creates the desire for service. And the smile of the Lord destroys all the miseries of a devotee. Chandrika Vishadasmirai Saruna Panga Vikshitai Swakarthanami Varajaha Satvabhyam Srishti Palakai. So therefore Bhishma is saying, please stay, don't go. So Prabhupada writes, his worshipable deity is four-handed Narayan, but he knew that four-handed Narayan is a plenary expansion of the Lord. See, all these devotees, they have different rasa, and nobody wants to exchange the rasa. Although if you tell, this is a lower rasa, Dasya is a lower rasa, you practice Madhurya Bhav. No. Hanumanji will never like to become a gopi. He is happy serving as a das. Bhavabandha chidetasya sparhayamina muktaye bhavan prabhur aham dasa ityatra vilupyate. I don't want to go to a place where this relationship of servant and master is destroyed. So everyone is happy. No Gopa wants to become a gopi. Even a blade of grass is happy in Vrindavan. So therefore Bhishma is happy serving, meditating on the four-handed form of the Lord. So therefore he is saying, please, Chaturbhuja. A Vaishnava is always humble in his behavior. Although it was sent person that Bhishma was approaching Vaikuntha just after leaving, but still as a humble Vaishnava, he desired to see the beautiful face of the Lord. For after quitting the present body, he might not be able to see, in a position to see the Lord. So devotee is never, puffed up at, "Arey, main to jane hi wala hu," Pakka, he's always he's always thinking, "Oh, I don't know what will happen at the time of death. Oh my Lord, please stay here." So although he's a pure devotee, but still, so it is said that in Bhishma, the Vasu from the heaven and the eternal Bhishma entered. They are all eternal personalities. So there are one Vasu who came as Bhishma, and then in the body of Bhishma, another personality was the eternal devotee of the Lord. So he is always there. So this Partha, Sarthi form is the eternal form. It is going on somewhere in some universe. This pastime is going on. And Bhishma is always there. So he appeared. So he is a pure devotee. He is a liberated soul. But he is never, puffed up, "Are मैं तो pure devotee, मैं तो जाने वाला, I don't need anyone." Even when Dhruva, for him the विमान came, पूरा अभी टिकट बुक हो गया है, आपके लिए लेने के लिए आए हैं नंद सुनंद. So what he does? So what Dhruva does? It offers obeisances to each and every devotee standing. वो ये नहीं बोले मैं तो जा रहा हूँ, आप तो इधर ही. No, he's taking blessings. Please give me blessings so that I can go back and continue serving. So that is a devotee. A Vaishnava is never puffed up. Although the Lord guarantees his pure devotee entrance into his abode. Therefore, he's saying, as long as I do not quit his body, please stay here. This means that the great general would quit his body at his own will. He was not being forced by the laws of nature. And then after a few lines, Prabhupada writes, a devotee is never very anxious to go back to the kingdom of God. He entirely depends on the goodwill of the Lord. He is equally satisfied even if the Lord desires him to go to hell. Which verse says this? The devotees are fearless. Either in heaven or hell, they have no fear. Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati, Chitraketu Maharaj's case. Anybody remembers? Narayan Parasarve Na Kutaschana Bibhyati. The devotees of the Lord, they are never fearful. Swarga, Apavarga, Narka, they are all equal for a devotee. So devotees are not interested in going anywhere where there is no Krishna Katha, there is no association, there is no festival. Even if it is heaven, wahan pe nahi jana hai. If there is no Krishna Katha, if there is no festival, I don't want to go. Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha, na sadhavo bhagavata stadashraya, nayatra yagyesh makha mahotsava. I don't want to go to this place, even if it is Suresh Loka. So devotee only wants service, doesn't want anything of this world. The only desire that a devotee entertains is that he may always be in rapt attention of thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, regardless. So Bhishma Dev wanted this only. This is the highest ambition. Devotee has this ambition only. Nothing of this world satisfies a devotee. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitamba. So after he makes this appeal, this request to the Lord that please stay. So Krishna was thinking, Arey, I have brought Bhishma, I have brought Yudhishthir Maharaj so that Bhishma can give a whole discourse and he wants to leave. So then he inspires Yudhishthir from within, ask something. So that's how now in the next verse, Sudha Goswami says, Yudhishthir is now asking the Lord, asking Bhishma. So somebody may ask, why Yudhishthir is disturbing Bhishma? He's absorbing himself in the thoughts of Krishna and he disturbed kar rahe, mere ko ye batao, So Prabhupada answers that in the purport. We'll recite this verse. Suta uvacha
Suto uvacha
Yudhishthirastad akarnya Shayanam Sharapanjare
Shayanang
Aprichat Vividhan Dharman
Apruchang
Rishinam Chanushinvatam.
Rishinam Chanushrunvatam.
Sutta Goswami.
Maharaj,
Go ahead, Mataji.
after hearing Vaishnava speak in that appealing tone, asked him, in the presence of all the great sages, about the essential principles of various religious duties.
So after he heard, Yudhishthira Maharaj heard Bhishma speaking in that way. So what Yudhishthira understood now, he is going to depart, it seems. So therefore he, gathered the courage to ask Bhishma. So why? Prabhupada writes, Krishna inspired Maharaj Yudhishthira to ask Bhishma Dev in presence of many sages, indicating thereby that the Lord's devotee like Bhishma although apparently living as a worldly man, is far superior to many great sages, Yon Vyasdev. So therefore, entire existence of Krishna is there only to glorify devotees. So whatever he does to glorify devotees, because he is never in an inferiority complex situation. He's never fearful that my position will be, diminished. No. That's why he wants to give all credit to his devotees. He is Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. He is abode of loveliness. And the most beautiful aspect of this is he likes to give credit to his devotees. That's why he inspired Yudhishthira. Please ask something. Krishna wanted to prove that his pure devotees are always sound in body and mind by dint of spiritual enlightenment. And thus, in any circumstance, a devotee is in perfect order to speak of the right way of life. Prabhupada is writing this in first canto. When he was in India, basically. And he has shown this by his own example. That even at the last moment of his life, he is in completely clear, crystal clear consciousness. If you read the diary of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was servant of Prabhupada, secretary of Prabhupada in the last few months, from April to November. And it is so very amazing that Maharaj, although in spite of that hectic schedule, he made a note of each and everything, who came to meet Prabhupada, what Prabhupada spoke. And it is full of such instances where Prabhupada was like completely no energy. And in September, he says, I want to go to London. So he goes to London, defying all the material laws. Nobody could have dared to go in that situation to London. With no energy, nothing, just bones and skin, that's all. Hardly eating anything. So Prabhupada has shown by his personal example that all these material circumstances, they don't matter for a devotee. Prabhupada writes, the father likes to see his son become more famous than himself. The Lord declares very emphatically, worship of his devotees is more valuable than worship of the Lord. Which verse? Worship of my devotees is more valuable than worship of myself. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. Tasmat, this is Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati. Tasmat paratram devi tadyanam samarchanam. Lord declares very, where Lord declares? Lord is declaring that worship of my devotee is more valuable. Ye me bhakta jana partha, name bhakta srisde jana, mad bhakta nam chaye bhakta te me bhakta tamamata. And then after this, he explains Varnashram in the 26th verse. Purusha swabhava vihitan yatha varnam yatha shramam vairagya ragopadibhyam amna to bhaya lakshanan.
Amna tu lakshanam. At Maharaja Yudhishthira's inquiry, Bhishmadev first defined all the classifications of caste and orders of life in terms of individual qualifications. Then he systematically, in twofold division, described counteractions by detachment and interactions by attachment. Hare Krishna.
So throughout Bhagavatam, Krishna has put his devotees in so many situations so that the best can come out of them. He bewildered Arjuna so that he can speak Bhagavad Gita. He bewildered Parikshit so that he can speak Bhagavatam. Then he bewildered Yudhishthira so that Bhishma can speak. So that's how he is, this pastime is described here. And then Yudhishthira, now Bhishma is speaking. Purusha Swabhava Vihitan. So Bhishma Dev, first he described the various classifications of Varna and Ashrama. Then Vairagya Upadhi, Vairagya Raga Upadhi. So by detachment and attachment, he described Amna to bhaya, he described twofold divisions: counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment. So how one should deal with the material nature and how one should be detached all the while dealing with the material nature, just like the lotus leaf. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says? Become like a lotus leaf. Even one word. Padma patram ivam bhasa. You should be like a lotus leaf. 5th chapter. Krishna says, Padma patra. Become like a lotus leaf. So then in the purport, Prabhupada describes all the various varna and ashramas. He describes the duties of each and every varna and ashrama. We will not go into the detail of this. Prabhupada writes in the 2nd paragraph, 1st line, Varnashram dharma is prescribed for the civilized human being just to train him to successfully terminate human life. Self-realization is distinguished from the life of lower animals engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Okay, so Prabhupada writes in the detail of that. We'll not go into that. Then the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, the main purpose of ashram dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. Varnashram acharavata purushena parapuman Vishnu aradhyate pantha. That's the ultimate perfection of Varnashram. So Vishnu aradhana. Then in the 27th verse, he explained 6 things. Dan dharman, raj dharman, moksha dharman vibhagashaha,
Moksha dharman nibhavata,
dharman,
Sri
dharman bhagavat
tamasa
dharma,
vyasa yogataha.
samasa vyasa yogataha.
Then explained by divisions, acts of charity, the dramatic activities of a king, and activities for salvation. Then he described the duties of women and devotees both briefly and extensively.
So Prabhupada in the purport, he describes in detail what is Dana Dharma and what is Raja Dharma. So he describes how the monarchy should be in this world. So in the 1st paragraph, Prabhupada describes how a brahmachari should perform sacrifices, householder should give charity, and the person in retired life or renounced order should practice penance and austerity. That's how all these 4 divisions are to be trained. Ultimately, they have to be connected to the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada quotes this 9.27. That entire system of Varnashram is meant to offer whatever we have to Krishna. Yat karoshi, yadashnasi, yat juhoshi, yadasiyat, yat tapassasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. And then he says, Raj Dharma is a great science. Unlike modern diplomacy, the kings were trained systematically to become munificent and not merely tax collectors. They were trained to perform sacrifices only for the prosperity of the subjects. To lead the praja to the attainment of salvation was a duty of a great king. That's why 5th canto, what Rishabdev says? One should not become a king, one should not become a guru, one should not become a father, mother, husband, unless one can deliver the subordinates. Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat. So that's what Prabhupada is writing here. So there Prabhupada writes these 3 are the natural leaders of the society. King, teachers, and the parents. They are the leaders. So therefore, they have lots of responsibility. Father, here also Prabhupada writes 3 more. The father, spiritual master, and the king. They are not to become irresponsible in the matter of leading their subjects. So they have lots of responsibilities. Because if they can't deliver their subordinates, then they have no rights to become the master. And then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, the taxation law was simple. There was no force, no encroachment. The king had the right to take 1/4 of the production. The king had a right to claim 1/4 of one's allotted wealth. One would never grudge parting with it because they all knew this is coming for our welfare only. They would be happy. The king had to see that the reserved energy of humanity was properly utilized. Human energy is meant not exactly for fulfilling human propensities, but for self-realization. Okay, so that's how Prabhupada describes in detail about these things. As a class, Prabhupada writes, as far as women class are concerned, they are accepted as a power of inspiration for men. Women are more powerful than men. Mighty Julius Caesar was controlled by Cleopatra. Such powerful women are controlled by shyness. Therefore, shyness is important for women. Okay. So all these things Prabhupada writes because it's three dharma, So Prabhupada is explaining each of the dharma. Moksha dharma, he describes devotional service also, how by worshipping the Supreme Lord, one can attain liberation. He explains Bhagavad dharma, three dharma, so all these things. Then, after describing all these things, okay, the 28th was also, he continues the description. Dharmartha kama mokshamscha Sahopayan yatha mune Nanakyanesh itihasesu Varnayamasa tattvavet.
The occupational duties of different orders and statuses of life, citing instances from history, for he was himself well acquainted with the truth.
So he cited so many instances. That's how an expert speaker is. He just doesn't tell the story philosophy. He doesn't tell the philosophy just, he tells the stories also. Because stories are attractive. Philosophy sun ke bore ho jate. So in some philosophy, story is there. So then it is more attractive. So Bhishma, he quoted lots of stories from various itihas and upakhyana and established the various occupational duties. So Prabhupada writes, we are simply concerned with the instructive lessons of such incidents. He says we are not concerned with history. We are concerned with any history because we learn from it. But modern history means just the account of what happened in the past. That's all. No learnings. So Prabhupada writes, we are just concerned with instructive lessons, even though they are not in order by our limited range of understanding. Bhishma described such narrations. That's what modern scholars, they say many times about scriptures. They're not written in chronology.
सर्विस रोड बेकार एकदम खराब है.
So that's why they say they are not written in chronology, they are not represented properly. But scriptures, they are not concerned with chronology. They are concerned with giving us lessons and instructions. That's what Prabhupada writes. And then somewhere Prabhupada writes that actually the scriptures are represented in nice chronological order also. It is not that they are always written in a haphazard way. No. Because it depends on the speaker, how he gets inspired to speak something. That's what happened here. Sudha Goswami asked, all the sages asked, please tell about Parikshit Maharaj, and then he has gone somewhere. Sudha Goswami, he starts describing, and then he goes on. Then 12th chapter, pehle wala question to batai. He went on a different way only. Detour पे चले गए, आप पूरा स्टोरी सुनाया हमको, but परीक्षित महाराज को ही छोड़ दिए. So sometimes it happens because it is a person who is speaking. It is not just an objective record of the history, what happened. Okay, then as Bhishma was speaking all these wonderful instructions, he saw that the sun has passed into northern hemisphere, Uttarayan. And this period is desired by yogis. Dharmam pravadatastasya
Dharma
Sakala
Prabhatasya
pratyupastitaha
Shakala
yo
Pratipastita
yoginas chandamrityo
Yo Yogin
vanchita
Chandamrityu
uttarayanaha.
Vachita Uttarayana. While Bhismadeva was
Continue,
Pradama,
Prabhuji.
while Bhismadeva was describing occupational duties, the sun's course run into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by the mystics who dies at their will. Hare Krishna.
So Uttarayan arrived. You know, Bhagavad Gita also, which chapter describes this? Uttarayan Dakshinayan?
Hmm.
Hey,
8th chapter.
8th chapter. 8th chapter.
8th chapter. Agni Jyoti Aha Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayana Tatra Chandramasam Jyoti Yogi Prapya Nivartate Shukla Krishna Gati Hiyate. Yeah. So there is a path of light and there is path of darkness. So Uttarayan is a path of light. So in this path, in this time period, the situations are favorable. Just like if you want to travel from, Mira Road to Churchgate, you know which time is the favorable time. Distance, route same hai, but sometimes are favorable. Shanti se baith ke ja sakte hain. Sometimes तो घुसने में problem होता है local train में, Similarly, there are some time periods which are favorable to get liberated, and that is called as Uttarayan. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in that purport, Bhagavad Gita, describes the detailed path. I had that also. Anyways, I'll just put on the group. There's a path which is followed by a yogi when he passes in the Uttarayan. And there are chances that he will be liberated. He'll enter Brahman. But in the path of Dakshinayan, so all these Jnanis, they take path of Uttarayan. And all these Karmis, they take path of Dakshinayan. They may go to Chandra Loka, but they again come down. But when they pass in Uttarayan, they don't come down. They enter Brahman. Because every thing has a deity. Night, there is a deity of the night, there is deity of the time, there is deity of this moon planet. So all the deities, they help this person, they guide this person. Okay, now you go this way. That's how they proceed to higher destinations or lower destinations. So Prabhupada quotes this also, that the self-realized souls who have exactly identified themselves with the interest of the Lord can gradually leave the body during the time of the fire god's effulgence. Agni, Jyoti, Aha, Shukla, Shanmasa, Uttarayan. That's what Prabhupada is paraphrasing here. So in Vedic times, in Vedas, these times are considered auspicious. And then Prabhupada, and the last verse says the devotee is not so much concerned with when will I die, kaun kirtan karega. Devotees are not so much concerned. Vedeshu, Yagyeshu, Tapasu Chaivo, Daneshu, Yat Punya Phalam Pradeshtam, Atyeti Tat Sarvam Idam Viditva, Yogi Paramsthanam Upaiti. So devotee is not so much concerned. And then after Bhishma, he understood that, okay, the sun has entered the Uttarayan, he stopped speaking. And he focused his mind on the form of Krishna. Translation, somebody can read 30th verse.
Thereupon that master spoke on different subjects with thousands of meaning, and who fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men, stopped speaking, and being completely free from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Goddess Shri Krishna, who stood before him full-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shined.
Yeah. So that's how Bhishma Dev is setting a glorious example, what one should do at the time of death. So Prabhupada, he writes, the subject matter which attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. And then Prabhupada quotes the verses from Bhagavad Gita 8.5 to 15. All the verses Prabhupada is writing here. So therefore, Bhishma, Prabhupada writes, attained perfection of quitting his body at will and fortunate enough to have Krishna. Simple bhakti yoga is enough to bring about perfection. So that's how Bhishma, he meditated and he focused his mind. He withdrew his mind from all the other things and he focused on the Supreme Lord. Haridas Thakur also had this opportunity, So all the devotees, when Haridas Thakur passed away, they remembered Bhishma only, how Bhishma left his body meditating on the Lord. Then after Bhishma meditated on Krishna, so what was the effect of that pure meditation? That is described in the 31st verse. Vishuddhaya dharanaya hata shubha
Vishuddhayatya pranayatartha
tadikshaveva sugata yudha shramaha
Pradikshyeva shubhata
nivritta sarvendriya vritti vibhrama Tushtavajanyam visrijan janardanam.
Vishjanardhanam.
By pure meditation, looking at Lord Shri
By
Krishna,
pure meditation, looking at Lord Krishna, Lord Shri Krishna, he at once was freed from all material inauspiciousness and was relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrow wounds. Thus, all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendently to the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body.
So the effect of pure meditation on Krishna was he was free from all the bodily pains. It is said that there were so many arrows you could not even put one finger. So many arrows. But by meditating on the Lord, he entered a transcendental state and he was relieved of all the bodily pains and he was entering into a state of deep prayers. So that's the beginning of Bhishma offering beautiful prayers. So Prabhupada writes a very important purport. Material body is a gift of material energy, technically called illusion. So material energy is technically called as illusion. Identification with the material body is due to forgetfulness of our relationship with the Lord. For a devotee like Bhishma, this illusion was at once removed as soon as the Lord arrived. So therefore, this material body is a gift and we have to make the best use of the bad bargain, which is a gift we have been given. So with this body, we can approach Krishna. With these senses, we can attain Bhava Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. That is called as sadhana. Kriti sadhya bhave sadhya bhavasa sadhana vida. At present, although we have no taste, no attraction, we have just theoretically understood that, okay, all the acharyas are saying, scriptures are saying, so therefore I should chant. So therefore, we are engaging our senses in service of Krishna, although at present we may have no spontaneous desires to serve Krishna, but because we have heard a lot, therefore we do it. Even at the stage of nishtha, one doesn't develop attraction for spontaneous attraction. Abhi to anarth nivritti chal raha hai. After anarth nivritti is over, at the stage of nishtha, what is nishtita bhajan? When all these obstacles are not there, the 6 obstacles described by Chakravarti Thakur, laya, vikshepa, apratipatti, kashaya, all these are not there, So laya means when you feel sleepy while chanting, तो होता ही हाथ में बीट बैग उठाया कि अन्य लोगों की सुगम यात्रा, मतलब माइंड से अभी बेटा अभी बीट बैग उठाया, सोने का टाइम हो गया, So that is called as laya. Vikshepa. Vikshepa means, I'll just tell there are 6 things. What is anishtita bhajan? Just wait, I'll just search. So Chakravarti Thakur writes in Madhurya Kadambini, the stages, the symptoms of nishtha, or before that, he describes the stage of anishtita bhajan. So in the anishtita bhajan, there are various obstacles, in the path of anartha nivritti. So first is laya. Laya means when you have no spontaneous attraction for chanting and one gets distracted while chanting. One time, one devotee, so he was staying in base, base hote hain. So, in the base, you have to get up early in the morning and then pura Mangala Aarti karke he went for class, apna college. And then he sat on the first bench. और पहले bench पे ही बैठ के he slept. So then the professor came and said, Hare Krishna, Krishna. He started chanting. मतलब नींद में से उठाया मतलब chanting करना है ना. So that is laya, You don't feel like chanting. You go to sleep. So our Mahatma Prabhu, he has said 22 types of japa, which devotee should not do. So वो नहीं बताएंगे आज, That is laya. Then the second is vikshepa. Vikshepa means talking about mundane activities. Some inclination is still there. This includes finding faults in devotees. Some inclination. I'll tell. Then the story starts. So that is called as vikshepa. And then is apratipatti. So apratipatti means when laya is not there, I'm not feeling sleepy while chanting, and I am not so much interested in all the non-devotional things. But मन नहीं है, it feels like sometimes time भी है और कुछ करना भी नहीं, लेकिन chanting का मन नहीं कर रहा है, I don't feel like chanting बाद में करेंगे. That is apratipatti. Then the fourth thing is kashaya. He says tendency to display faults like greed, anger, they are still there. And the fifth is rasaswada, when our mind is still attached to sense pleasure. So till the time anartha nivritti is not there, not complete, all these things will come. Even after this is over, a devotee established in nishtha, nishtita bhajan kar raha hai. He has given up all these anarthas. Apratipatti nahi hai, kashaya nahi hai, no rasaswad, no laya, no vikshepa. Still, he doesn't have developed spontaneous rasa for chanting. Nishtha tak pahunchne par bhi उसमें अभी रुचि नहीं आई है. Still he does it. He develops that strong conviction that this is the only thing which will take me ahead. So that's how, all these things will be there till the time we don't get completely purified. So that's how we have to just continue struggling and just continuing getting purified of our anarthas, and then slowly it will happen. Slowly we'll develop attraction. So Bhishma is showing by his personal example that, okay, he is in such state that all his body is full of arrows, but still he has such crystal clear consciousness. And he is free from all material inauspiciousness, free of all the pain. And then he starts offering his prayers. Okay, we'll take 2-3 prayers and then we'll. So this is the last section of the 9th chapter, the prayers of Bhishma Dev. Sri Bhishma Uvacha.
Sri Bhishma Uvacha.
It is not the regular tune of Bhagavatam. Iti matirupa kalpita vitrishna.
Iti mata
Bhagavati satvat pungave vibhumni.
Bhagavati Satvat Pungave
Vasubham gate kvachid vihartum. Prakriti mupeyushi adbhava pravaha.
Prakriti mupeyepi bhavat pravaha.
Which are so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in the all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna. He is always self-satisfied, but sometimes being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world, although from him only the material world is created.
Iti mati upakalpita vitrishna. So now Bhishma, he desires to invest his thinking, feeling, and willing. Iti mati, let my mati, my thinking, upakalpita vitrishna, my thinking, feeling, and willing may be engaged in, which were engaged in all the different subject matters so long. Now they should develop vitrishna. Anybody remembers any other verse where vitrishna comes? Vitrishna means distaste for the material objects. So I also forgot. And there is the verse vitrishna. The more we develop attraction for Krishna, the more we become distasteful of the material sense gratification. Vitrishna comes. Bhagavati Satvat Pungave Vibhumni. So Lord, who is always satisfied, who is Swasukham, he is Satvat Pungave, he is the master of all the devotees. Upagate Kwachit Vihartum, he enjoys his transcendental pleasure by descending in this world. Prakritim Upeyushi, although from him everything is created, but he is transcendental. So therefore, he is now saying, now my master has come at the last moment of my life. I must give him a gift. You want to give a gift to your beloved, right? So now Bhishma is departing. So what gift he can offer to the Lord? So he says, I have nothing else to offer. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, there is nothing suitable for him in this abode which is full of possessiveness and ego. I will offer my thoughts which are pure. So therefore he is offering his thoughts. So, but somebody may ask, in this world, we see people who give also desire to take, When you give something, you want something in return, right? So Bhishma Dev says, no, my thoughts are vitrishna. I don't want anything in return for my thoughts. I offer them to Bhagavan. So then somebody may ask, but the Lord is famous as Narayan, right? So Bhishma says, no, he is famous as Satvat Pungave. He is famous as the best of Yadu dynasty. But the question may come, Narayan is also greatly famous as Bhagavan. Bhishma says, no, there is nobody who is greater than Krishna. He is a source of Narayan also. And he has attained that bliss with his own Yadavas and Pandavas. So that's how it is described. Bhishma Dev is offering his thoughts to the Supreme Lord. And then after describing the primary qualities in the first 3 lines, he is Bhagavati, Satvat Pungave, Vibhumni, Swasukham Upagate. Then he describes the secondary qualities in the last line. That you never come in contact with Maya. Just by glancing, you create this material universe. So that is the primary and secondary qualities which Bhishma Dev is describing about the Lord. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport how for non-devotees, super soul is a silent observer. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says? Super soul, the 2 activities of super soul. Anybody knows? 13th chapter.
Upadrashta Hanumanta.
And Hanumanta. He is the overseer and permitter, sanctioner. So for non-devotee, he is just passively seeing, kya kar raha hai, note karo, He's happy, note karo. He's sad, note karo. He's doing good, note. Doing bad, note. That's it. Upadrashta. But for a devotee, he is active guide. He guides a devotee. You please listen to this person. You go there, you do this service. He's active guide. So Prabhupada writes, for devotees, Krishna is actively working to bring him close. Maharaurav haite korile tomara uddhar kripara samudra Krishna gambhira apar. Haridas Thakur is telling to Sanatana Goswami, whose body was full of pus-filled boils. Mahaprabhu embraced him and cured him. So Haridas Thakur tells, Arey, Mahaprabhu has delivered you from hellish situation. Kripara Samudra Krishna Gambhir Apar. So Prabhupada writes, Lord is gravely working to protect his devotees. He's serious. He's more serious than we are serious to go back. He's seriously working to bring us back to his spiritual world. That's how he keeps sending devotees. He keeps sending scriptures. He comes himself. So that's how it is. Tesham evanu kampartham aham ajnana. I personally do it. वो किसी को भेजते नहीं है, अरे जाओ थोड़ा दिया लगाओ उधर. नाशयामि ज्ञान दीपेन. I do it personally. So that's how for devotees, Krishna is an active person, active guide. So Prabhupada writes, he describes the various words which are used in the verse. Satvata, how Lord is a Satvata Pungava. He's a chief among all the Sattvatas. Unless one is purified from all sorts of material desires, the Lord does not become one's leader. The desires cannot be wiped out. They have to be purified. And then Prabhupada writes, for an ordinary man, Lord is only a sanctioner. But for a devotee, he is an active guide. Why Lord is not a sanctioner? Why Lord doesn't guide non-devotees? खुन्नस है कुछ, कुछ है गुस्सा है, इनको तो देखूंगा नहीं, इनको बोलूंगा नहीं. Why? If somebody comes and keeps telling us, बेटा ये कर, बोले नहीं करूंगा, then क्या होगा? What will be happening to that person after some time?
बोलना
छोड़ देगा, कर तेरे को जो करना है. So that is what Lord has told so many times. अरे follow, become devotee. नहीं सुनेगा तो ठीक है, अभी जो करना है कर, I'll just observe. That's what Prabhupada writes. Non-devotees never care to take any instructions, therefore Lord is silent. But the devotees are above this material goodness and bad. They are on progressive path of transcendence. They have no desires. So therefore, when devotees, they hear from the scriptures, the Lord enters through the ears. Pravishta karna randrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam. Lord personally cleans the heart. Kaun karega aisa, Lord is personally cleaning the heart of the devotees. Swanam dhunoti shamalam Krishna. So that's how the Lord is actively working to protect his devotees and care for his devotees, purifies his devotees personally. Okay, so we'll stop here. It is 6 o'clock. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada
Hare
ki.
Krishna. Dandavad pranam Prabhu.
Next
Hare
week,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu ki dandat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
तो सुनते ही नहीं आते.
Hare Krishna.
Next week, Sunday, should we have class or cancel करना है? Because it is like next day after Nandotsav.
अपना भी offering
हाँ नंदोत्सव के बाद है.
Nandotsav के बाद. I think 21st. Cancel कर दें class ना? Okay. So next week no class.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Test also postponed.
Test लिख सकते हैं? Test? नहीं.
नहीं.
Okay, ठीक है. So next 28th will be meeting next. Exam plus class.
Class.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you. Dandavat pranam.
Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरि बोल. प्रभु जी के लिए